meet on the Africa Heads of State Energy Summit on Monday and Tuesday next week. The summit, hosted by the government of Tanzania in collaboration with the African Development Bank Group and the World Bank, is aimed at advancing Mission 300, an initiative to provide electricity across access to 300 million people in Africa by 2030. In Dar es Salaam, African leaders, private sector leaders, development partners, and civil society groups will strategize to accelerate energy access across the continent. The summit will provide a platform for sharing knowledge, expertise, and resources to address Africa's energy challenges. Discussions will focus on accelerating energy access in underserved regions, renewable energy, energy efficiency, and mobilizing private sector investment. On the first day, at the ministerial level, participating countries, including Nigeria, will present their national energy strategies termed compacts, detailing their approaches to achieving universal energy access within 5 years. On day 2, heads of state will endorse the Dar es Salaam Energy Declaration, outlining a unified roadmap for Africa's progress towards the Mission 300 objectives. President Tinubu will deliver a national statement reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to achieving universal access to energy and its leadership role in Africa's energy sector, highlight Nigeria's ongoing clean energy initiatives and its strategy to drive integrated energy delivery on the continent. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onaniga, says the President would be accompanied by some ministers and other government officials.
President Bola Tinubu has directed the reconstruction of the road from Day Market to Life Camp in Abuja Municipal Area Council of the FCT. The Minister of the FCT, Mr. Henson Wike, made this known while inaugurating access roads in the Saburi community of Amak. Mr. Wike explained that the road project, which was captured in the budget, will be flagged off for reconstruction next month. He also granted the request to construct the Kagina-Zaldina Road to be included in the statutory budget of the FCT administration. The FCT minister directed that street lights should be installed on the network of access roads in Saburi, promising additional road in each of the 6 area councils. The chairman of AMAC, Christopher Mekanongu, while highlighting the roads constructed by the area council under his tenure, expressed gratitude to President Tinubu and the FCT minister for their intervention to provide infrastructure to the satellite towns.
To religious masses now, the Anglican Bishop of Kaduna Diocese, I should think. Well, Bishop Zakanyam has admonished residents of southern Kaduna to unite regardless of tribe, religion, or ethnicity to develop the region. Bishop Nyam gave the advice during the 23rd Southern Kaduna Prayer Summit in Kafanchan, Kaduna State, with the theme, "Come, let us reason together." He said the program provided a platform to offer special prayers to cleanse the land and mark the new spiritual chapter for southern Kaduna. He prophesied a brighter future for the region and urged the people to pray for their leaders to govern with fairness and equity. Governor Basani, who was represented by the Deputy Speaker of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Magaji Henry Linjuma, assured the people of his administration's commitment to fairness and justice in the allocation of state resources and projects. The governor also appealed for sustained peace in the area of improved socio-economic development. Earlier, Chairman of the Southern Kaduna Christian Leaders Association, Apostle Emmanuel Kure, appreciated Governor Ubasani for recognizing Southern Kaduna after years of neglect by previous administrations.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
NAFDAC will do due diligence because our goal, our mission is to safeguard the health of our country, and we will never compromise on that. It's a mandate. COVID-19 vaccines are new, and the side effects or adverse events must be well monitored. Therefore, if NAFDAC does not approve, the public should not use. Incisive. NAFDAC on your health every Monday at 4:30 in the evening. NAFDAC on your health. It's all about your health. Join us every Monday, 4:30 p.m. on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Don't miss it.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The trade volume between Nigeria and China surpassed $20 billion in 2024. This is made known by the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Yu Dunhai, at the 2025 Chinese Lunar New Year celebration in Abuja. Ambassador Yu described 2024 as a landmark year for Nigeria-China relations, highlighted by the elevation of their bilateral ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership during President Bola Tinubu's visit to China. He expressed optimism for even stronger relationship in 2025. The envoy noted that Nigeria ranks China's largest engineering contract hub, second largest export market, and third largest trade partner in Africa. Ambassador Yu also extended New Year wishes to the Chinese and Nigerian communities, saying the Year of the Snake symbolizes hard work, intelligence, and happiness, which he hopes will bring peace and prosperity to both nations. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Mr. Ora Luno Obi, highlighted the historical ties between the two countries, which are built on mutual respect and shared aspirations. Mr. Obi described the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria and China as a foundation for fostering stronger collaboration, particularly in culture, art and tourism. The Deputy Director of Beijing Municipal Bureau of Culture and Tourism, Mr. Zhu Zhengtao, promised the long-standing friendship between Nigeria and China.
Meanwhile, Nigeria and Bangladesh have reaffirmed their commitments to empowering the Nigerian youth for the development of the country. This was stated during a courtesy visit by the Bangladeshi High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Masudur Rahman, to the Minister of Youth Development, Comrade Ayodele Olawande in Abuja. The minister, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Development, Mr. Oluwumi Odusoyan, highlighted the ministry's dedication to unlocking the innovative and productive potential of Nigerian youths as a means of driving economic growth. He further noted that the ministry sees significant values in leveraging the expertise of Bangladesh to achieve its vision for youth empowerment and economic development. On his part, Mr. Rahman, who reiterated his country's commitment to strengthen ties with Nigeria in the area of youth development, emphasized the importance of economic diversification and the need to unlock the untapped potential of Nigerian youths both at home and in the diaspora. This partnership marks a significant step towards fostering bilateral relations between Nigeria and Bangladesh and creating opportunities for youth empowerment, knowledge transfer, and sustainable economic growth.
And now to educational matters. About 2.2 million school children in Nigeria were displaced by flooding last year, which disrupted academic activities. The Chief of Kano Field Office in the United Nations Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, Mr. Rahama Farah, stated this in Kano at a review of UNICEF's activities to mark the 2025 International Day of Education. Usman Mohammed has details.
Delivering an address on the impact of climate change on learning, the Chief of Kano Field Office of UNICEF, Mr. Rahma Farah, disclosed that last year's flooding in Jigawa State damaged 115 school buildings, making them unsafe for pupils and students. He regretted that the incidences led to prolonged school closures, affecting the academic calendar for over 92,000 school children across the 27 local government areas of the state. Mr. Farah said UNICEF, with support from Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office of the UK, is supporting the Jigawa and Kano states to provide climate-resilient learning environments to mitigate the impact of climate change on learning.
In terms of the out-of-school children, we have supported the enrollment drive. UNICEF has been partnering with the communities, traditional leaders, and decision makers to enrollment drives to improve access to education.
He explained that in 2004, UNICEF engaged 1,000 youths, 350 in Jigawa and 650 in Katsina, to plant a total of 300 trees in desert and flood-prone areas in the two states to mitigate the impact of climate change. The UNICEF chief also disclosed that last year, the fund constructed climate change resilient water sanitation and hygiene facilities in schools and health clinics in areas of need within the field office. He said the fund constructed and rehabilitated waste facilities in 33 schools, 25 in Kano and 8 in Jigawa State, which are being used by about 40,000 children in the two states. Usman Mohammed, Radio Nigeria.
January 24 every year is commemorated as the International Day of Education. The day marks the role of education in promoting peace and development. Though we brought you a special report on AI and education, preserving human agency in a world of automation and its implication on that day, this morning we shall focus on girl-child education, and with us to discuss that live here now in the studio is the chairperson of the International Federation of Women Leaders, FIDA, Nigeria, Gwagwalada Branch, Dr. Chinenye Joy Mokwere. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presence with us here. Okay, thank you so much. Now, how important would you say the girl-child education in Nigeria is in the context of Nigeria, and what are some of the key benefits, they bring to the society?
So thank you so much for that wonderful question. The importance of a girl-child education cannot be emphasized. Now, firstly, it's a human right, and at the same time, a constitutional right for the girl child to be educated. So it is very, very fundamental. And of course, we have ample laws in Nigeria that has given that leverage for the girl child to be compulsorily educated. So it's a fundamental right, both at the international level, at the regional level, and even in Nigeria. So we have a lot of statutory instruments that has really empowered the girl child to be educated. Now, the importance of the girl child education, at the same time, one, it enables the girl child to be financially emancipated. What I mean by that is that once a girl child is educated, especially from elementary to higher education, it makes her to be free financially, and we know what that will do in the society. Then apart from that, it's also with respect to her health, her right of her health. It also impacts very wonderfully well, because it prevents her from getting married early child marriage. She would have the opportunity to not only finish the elementary education, but also higher education. So it makes her to assert rights in the society, and of course, again, it's also enable her to also give back at the appropriate time. Okay. So it's a whole lot of advantages to society.
All right, Dr. Mokwere, in a nutshell, it enlightens the girl. It enlightens a whole lot of these things that you've just put together.
A whole lot.
All right, and much more. Okay.
Now, Dr. Mokwere, when it comes to challenges facing girls, for many years, there's been this advocacy to make sure that the girl child is protected and has access to education. But these challenges have continued. What initiatives are being taken to address these challenges?
Now, there are lots of initiatives that are undertaken by government. First of all, is with respect to the legal framework. Like I said, we have a lot of legal framework in Nigeria. We have the Constitution there. We have the Child Rights Act that has been domesticated in Nigeria. We also have the Violence Against Persons Act, and of course the gender policy. These are statutory provision. Then, apart from the statutory provision, we also have CSOs, NGOs like FIDA. We have done a lot of interventions, especially with respect to ensuring that the girl child, we create that awareness. We've been doing that in my branch, the FIDA Gwagwalada branch. That is essentially what we do there. We go on advocacy. We go to traditional rulers, churches, mosques. We preach this, that girl child, gone were the days when the girl child is seen as the education ends in the kitchen. We have gone beyond that. We have seen how women have been able to do even much more better. So we want to change that narrative. women should be within the decision-making factor. We shouldn't be seen as, oh, they don't have that right, oh, if we give them that right, probably they will not respect their husbands. The narrative has changed, and so education is seen as that veritable tool that not only can empower the girl child, but also bring about sustainable development in Nigeria and even the world. And that is also what is captured on this goal 4 and goal 5 of the sustainable development. So that is what essentially the feeder is all about. One feeder, we have 3 major mandates, and the mandates are to preserve, to promote, and to protect the rights of women and children. And on this special day, every 24th of January, we usually celebrate International Day of Education, and that is why we thought it wise that we should also use this this platform to also advocate that parents, please don't stop your girl child from going to school, because when you empower a female child, you empower the nation.
All right, Madam Dr. Chinenye, well, so much has happened, surrounding the girl child recently. We'll rule out femicide, because we can't talk about the girl child and rule that out. It's been, recurring. We'll take that for another day anyway, but I know that I know that FIDA isn't looking the other way in terms of that. Now, can you share a success story or example of how investing in the girl child education has positively impacted a community or any region in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you so very much for that wonderful question. In my branch, FIDA Nigeria Gwagwalada branch, yes, there was a particular time that a girl came, she ran to us, and her father came from the village, and he said that her husband was waiting for her. And
how old was this girl?
She was just 12 years. She was 12 years, she was in school, and you know what, her guardian came to us. Her guardian said no, that she's not going anywhere, and the girl was literally crying. So what we did, immediately we got a call from the guardian, we swung into action, we went to the police, we said we needed protection. The father came, and the father was dragging the girl. You must go to the village with me today. You have to stop schooling because your husband is waiting. We had to talk to the father. In fact, the father said the major challenge he had was that how would he go back to the village, because they had expected her and he had already collected the bride price.
Okay.
But we did what we had to do. But the success story is now the girl is in the university.
Wow.
She's studying medicine, and she is seen as an ambassador for standing to her rights.
All right.
We've done much more than this in
Thank you so much. I wish we had time for more of these kinds of success stories, but we thank you so much for what FIDA did for that 12-year-old, now an adult. Yes. Well, that was the chairperson of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Nigeria, Wagwalada branch, Dr. Chinenye Joy Mbokwari, speaking on the girl child. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And I also thank viewers for listening, and also
the listeners, actually. You're on the radio.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Now moving on, snoring is an act of producing loud breath sounds through the nose and oral cavity while sleeping. This could occur while commuting on the public transportation or during sleep at night. Snoring, which will vary from person to person, can disrupt another person's sleep. In this report, Kalu Dikai examines the social and health implications of snoring.
Snoring, which vary from person to person, happens when air cannot flow easily through the nose or mouth. There are popular beliefs that those who have large body mass often snore while sleeping. However, others see it as an unhealthy sleeping condition. Sharing a sleeping experience with his wife, Mr. Jibrin Umar told Radio Nigeria that though his wife complains of sleep disturbance whenever he snores, he insists that his snoring habit is not as a result of the large body size, but rather arising from stress.
Sometimes my wife will tell me, "Hi, which kind of work did you do that you're snoring at?" Because the way I snore, it shows that really I'm really tired.
Two students, Alex Okolo Adigizi and Hanatu Bello, narrate how uncomfortable they are while sleeping with roommates who snore.
Sorry, Thomas. sleeping is not good thing for a normal person.
They should avoid too much stress.
Describing snoring as a clinical condition and a normal habit in human beings, depending on the level of the sound, Mr. Yakubu Abdullahi lamented the difficulty in tolerating such sleeping habits from a neighbor, which he termed disturbing. Despite the mood disorder that comes with snoring, Mr. Dan Limani Muhammad pointed out that he had developed what he referred to as a coping technique to weather the storm instead of sleeping in a separate room away from his partner.
But sometimes it also tends to affect my sleeping. Daylight, it affects some of my activities.
Mr. Babasaka Ibrahim is another respondent who was in a bus and someone close to him was sleeping and snoring.
That time I wasn't myself because the way he was disturbing us in the car, he was sleeping. It wasn't easy with all of us in the car that day.
Dr. Usman Buhari, a consultant on ear, nose, and throat ENT department, Federal University of Lafayette Teaching Hospital, explained that snoring can have significant social, mental, and health implications, both for the individual who snores and their bed partner. Dr. Buhari stated that snoring can trigger headaches and other underlying disease conditions. The ENT consultant advised individuals who snore as a result of overweight, abuse of drugs, and alcohol to modify their lifestyle, while those who have risk factors such as heart disease, high blood pressure, loud and persistent snoring should seek medical attention.
Snoring spouse syndrome. In fact, it has broken some homes. So because of that, we usually counsel both the snorer and then the partner. So for the snorer, there are some positions we advise person to take during sleep. Usually lie on the lateral side. Avoid late meals. We usually advise them to use the white sound. The white sound is just an application. Just this smooth sound, musical sound that goes undertone.
He also cautioned couples not to seek separation because of snoring, but should instead procure devices that can help them manage the sound so as to have a refreshing and sound sleep. In Lafia, Kalu Idika Radio Nigeria.
Well, Olami, I hope you don't snore.
Well, sometimes when I'm really tired, I do.
All right, a tanker explosion at the Ugbo-Nyama axis of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway has left many commuters feared dead and 8 vehicles completely burned. The tanker, which was suspected to be carrying petroleum product, fell and exploded. The director of the Enugu State Fire Service, Chief Okodele Oha, who confirmed the incident to newsmen, said firefighting team from the 9th Mile station responded immediately but was overwhelmed by the magnitude of the inferno. This, he said, necessitated his order for reinforcement from the Ogui Road and the government house fire stations to support the 9th Mile team. He said it took the combined efforts of 10 skilled firefighters to control the flames before paramilitary personnel arrived to evacuate the bodies and transport the injured to hospitals, while the exact number of fatalities remains uncertain. As at the time of this report, Chief Oha explained that the Federal Road Safety Commission and other security agencies were working to evacuate the remains of the victims. Eyewitnesses described the tanker explosion as catastrophic, with nearby vehicles destroyed and widespread panic among road users.
Meanwhile, the Enugu State Caucus of the House of Representatives has expressed deep grief over the tanker explosion that occurred in Enugu yesterday, claiming the lives of not less than 11 people. The caucus described the incident as one too many, calling for thorough investigations into the recurring tanker explosions across the country. A statement signed by the caucus leader, Mr. Amuludun 99.1, commiserates with the Enugu State government, the families of the victims and those injured in the explosion. The caucus also commended the Enugu State governor, Mr. Peter Mba, for showing empathy through his personal visit to the accident spot and subsequently directing the urgent evacuation of the injured victims to the Enugu State University Teaching Hospital for adequate treatment on the bill of the state. The statement equally lauds the governor for his decision to fix the deteriorated portion of the Ugbo-Nyama Federal Road at the expense of the state government to save the lives of motorists, even as he directed the State Ministry of Transport and the sector command of the FRSC to carry out proper inspection of all fuel-laden trucks to ensure that they were roadworthy and have anti-fuel spill installed in them.
That's that one there now, 27 minutes past the hour of 7, and you are listening to the news on the network service of Radio Nigeria. A quick reminder of our headlines. President Bola Tinubu departs Abuja for Energy Summit in Tanzania. Nigeria-China trade volume exceeds $20 billion. Deadly tanker explosion kills over 11 persons in Enugu and still to come. Correspondent examines initiatives aimed at promoting clean energy as World Marks Day. Plus, sports, spotlight, cyberscope, newspaper headlines and weather report. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
It's the only radio network in Nigeria. The network that attracts over 40 million high net worth individuals. Unarguably, the only radio channel that draws key decision makers through incisive and up-to-date news, scintillating sportscasting, and exciting programming. Radio Nigeria Network Service, the haven for discerning investors who wish to reach their target audience at the lowest cost per thousand. Your brand and corporate image deserve nothing less than a sustained exposure on Radio Nigeria Network Service. Try us today.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Today is the International Day of Clean Energy, a global observance dedicated to advancing the use of clean energy and minimizing dependence on fossil fuels. This day serves as a platform to raise awareness about the critical importance of energy efficiency and the urgent need to curb energy waste. This year's theme, Clean Energy for People and the Planet, underscores the collective responsibility to embrace sustainable energy solutions. In this special report, Moniya explores initiatives aimed at promoting the adoption of clean energy in Nigeria.
Clean energy, also known as renewable energy, refers to energy generated from natural resources that can be replenished over time. It is a sustainable and environmentally friendly alternative to fossil fuels, which are finite and contribute significantly to climate change. Over the years, past administrations have implemented various programs and policies to address climate change. However, the current administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu launched series of initiatives to promote the adoption of clean energy in the country. These initiatives include the development of a national renewable energy policy and the establishment of renewable energy funds to support clean energy projects. Additionally, this administration introduced the Energy Transition Plan aimed at achieving universal energy access by 2030 and the National Clean Cooking Policy designed to encourage sustainable and low-carbon energy solutions for households across Nigeria. During Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week in the United Arab Emirates, President Bola Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to reduce carbon emissions. He also emphasized the government's focus to harness the potential of Nigerian solid minerals to support the green energy transition.
Energy transition plans, like many nations, are aimed at diversifying energy sources and reducing our dependency on fossil fuel. Prioritizing the transition to cleaner energy sources as a cornerstone of our national development strategy. Nigeria is committed to achieving a net zero emission by 2060. In line with global climate objectives.
The Executive Director, Global Initiative for Food Security and Ecosystem Preservation, Dr. Michael David, said Nigeria possessed the resources and capacity to become a global leader in clean energy.
Nigeria can become the clean energy capital of the world because of the potential we have. Water resources that are also good for hydroelectricity generation. We have the wind as well. We should also look at the waste that Nigeria produces on a daily basis. We also have large deposit of lithium, which is used for production of batteries.
Dr. David highlighted the benefits of clean energy, which include reduced greenhouse gas emissions, enhanced energy security, improved air quality and job creation. However, he pointed out several challenges such as inadequate investment, the high cost of clean energy technologies and limited public awareness, which continued to hinder Nigeria's energy transition efforts.
The middle class will tell you that the cost of clean energy is high in Nigeria, and so it's easier for people to work with the dirty energy using firewood and charcoal. The other one, the low awareness, we are more like technology shy.
Some Nigerians who shared their thoughts on the country's energy transition plan urged the government to make clean energy more affordable and accessible to the general public.
I can't see it as a welcome idea. It is not. But look at the whole Nigeria, an oil producing nation. No refinery is functional. Why can't they repair all those things?
Where you're making some policies and you're not considering the cultural norms of the people. It should be able to come down to the local level and know if these things are actually obtainable or not. It's not everybody can afford it.
On the theme of this year's International Day for Clean Energy, which is Clean Energy for People and Planet, an Abuja-based environmentalist, Mr. Joseph Ibrahim, called on Nigerians to take greater responsibility for their energy usage and conscious efforts to reduce its impacts on the environment.
We must not rest on our oars. We need to intensify all the efforts to transition and also educate our people on why we need cleaner energy, because it's good not just for our health and our environment, it's also good for our economy.
Mr. Ibrahim emphasized the need for increased investment and collective action to drive a cleaner and more sustainable future for the nation. In Abuja, Osamu Diame, Idebudia, Radio Nigeria.
The immediate past Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Chief Moniya says his removal as Speaker was not constitutional, noting that due process was not followed. The former Lagos State Assembly Speaker was removed by 35 out of 40 members of the Assembly on the 13th of this month over allegations of misconduct and mismanagement of funds, and replaced with his former deputy, Mrs. Mojisola Naranda. Chief Obasa, who was reacting to his impeachment in Lagos, emphasized that the allegations made against him by the lawmakers could not be substantiated, noting that he is the most experienced lawmaker in the Assembly, having been elected 6 times since 2003. The impeached speaker challenged those accusing him of corruption to prove their allegations, noting that the Lagos State House of Assembly is above common standard of operation. He, however, expressed his resolve not to partake in the destruction of the institution.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State House of Assembly has reacted to the statement made by the former Speaker of the House, Mudashiru Obasa, who is insisting that he remains the Speaker. A statement signed by Mr. Ogundipe Olukayode on behalf of the Assembly clarifies that over 2/3 of the State Assembly members are united behind the new Speaker, Mojisola Miranda. The lawmakers said nothing could change the decision taken on the 13th of January when Obasa was impeached as the Speaker.
Now, away from that, a civil society organizations, Citizens Network for Peace and Development in Nigeria, has differed from the position of the Nigerian governors in some areas on the tax reform bills. Presenting a communique after his meeting in Abuja, the national coordinator of the group, Mr. Korea Raphael, said his position on the bill was driven by a collective aspiration for equity, justice, and economic progress. Mr. Raphael Okori said the review of the tax bills by the governors would make some state governments lazy in generating revenue at the expense of good policies.
We categorically reject the Nigerian Governors Forum's proposed VAT sharing formula, which allocates 50% based on equity, 30% based on derivation, and 20% based on population. The formula does not take into account productivity and economic growth, which are crucial factors in determining a state's contribution to national economy. We urge the National Assembly to reconsider this proposal and adopt a more nuanced approach that rewards productivity and economic growth.
Mr. Kuri said that the tax reform bills would be a game changer in providing essential social and economic amenities, as well as reward productivity and economic growth.
The proposed law focuses on inclusive taxation. Consequently, this reform is aimed at stimulating small and medium-scale enterprises, encouraging grassroots entrepreneurship, and fostering economic diversification as well as sustainable growth for the future generations. Specifically, we commend the tax reform bill's provision that exempt individuals and households earning less than 1 million naira per annum and companies earning less than 50 million naira per annum from taxation. This bold initiative demonstrates the government's commitment to alleviating poverty and promoting economic inclusivity.
The CSO's national coordinator lauded the bold step by the federal government, urging Nigerians not to reduce the initiative to political sentiments.
And next is a compendium of major events from the seat of governance, State House Diary.
This is State House Diary. It is a program that summarizes the sermons of last week's big events at the State House, the seat of government. My name is Abdullah Bello. President Bola Tinubu last week said enhancing the welfare of officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces would remain paramount his administration. He stated this in Abuja at the groundbreaking ceremony of a new defense complex and while inaugurating an army barracks named after him.
This groundbreaking event, coming on the eve of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, shall be an enduring honor, especially to those who have laid down their lives for the peace and security of Nigeria. It is also an honor for the injured. As your Commander-in-Chief, I pledge to support our troops and their families.
The President also emphasized the importance of producing military equipment locally to enhance domestic defense capabilities. President Tinubu last week assured Ogoni leaders that his administration would prioritize peace, justice, and a sustainable development in the area. At a meeting with them in Abuja, he called for unity and reconciliation, urging them to set aside historical grievances and work together to achieve peace, development.
We cannot in any way rewrite history, but we can correct some anomalies going forward of the past. Aside, it cannot heal the wounds if we continue to be angry. You and I must work together to achieve this.
Also last week, the President appointed board chairpersons, a Director General, a Managing Director, and a Secretary for 42 federal establishments. During the week, President Tinubu commended the Finnish government for its intervention in the arrest and detention of Simon Ekpa, warning that his administration will not tolerate actions and statements that could cause divisiveness among citizens. He made a commendation in Abuja while receiving letters of credence from the Finnish ambassador to Nigeria, Ms. Sena Selin, at the State House. President Tinubu also received letters of credence from the ambassador of the European Union and that of the People's Republic of Algeria. He urged collaboration between their nations and Nigeria on trade, technology, agriculture, security, and the implementation of the Trans-Saharan African gas pipeline project. During the week, Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigeria's dedication to harnessing the potential of her youth, investing in education, and advancing smart agriculture were necessary strategies that would go a long way to tackling global and domestic challenges. He stated this at the Financial Global Risk Roundtable at this year's World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Also last week in Davos, the Vice President joined other world leaders to push for the full implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area with a target to boost Africa's economy to $29 trillion by 2050. He said Africa occupied a unique position to take advantage of global talent deficits, citing a Korn Ferry study that projects a global human talent shortage of more than 85 million people by 2030.
The average age of the Nigerian population is 19. And this huge youth bulge, we can truly transform them into demographic dividends. By 2035, there will be 65 million global talent deficit. The United States will suffer from 6 million, Brazil, 6 million, even India, the global capital of outsourcing, will only have 1 million talent surplus. Opportunities abound in the outsourcing industry. Yes, we are an oil giant, but how much do we ever generated from oil? The highest we have ever generated as an oil-producing nation was 35 billion in 2011. So I believe that Africa, generally the African continent, we are in a position to really take advantage of the digital revolution in the world.
Last week, First Lady Oluyemi Tinubu said government would continue to pursue policies and programs aimed at making life better for Nigerians. He did this in Benin, the Edo State capital, during the distribution of essential food items to vulnerable groups under the social investment scope of the Renewed Hope Initiative. She was represented by the wife of the Vice President, Haja Nana Shetima.
So far, we have been able to donate food items to 6 states across Nigeria. The Renewed Hope Initiative has made significant progress in our effort to support our people, particularly women and youth, towards bringing a better life for their families. There will be more activities this year of the Renewed Hope Initiative that covers agriculture, education, economic empowerment, health, social and distribute food items to families. We implore and encourage you to make good use of these items. Please do not sell the food items as they are intended to support your families. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the well-meaning corporate organizations that have consistently supported us with food items.
Also commissioned the National Youth Service Corps Digital Museum of Dynamic History and Television Studio. At the ceremony in Abuja, she noted that the facilities were a visionary step towards preserving the legacy of the Corps.
By embracing technology in this initiative, the NYSC has aligned itself with global best practices, ensuring that the lessons and legacy of the scheme are accessible to all to harness innovation and technology to drive inclusivity and the digital economy. I congratulate the National Youth Service Corps for this historic museum and television studio, which will serve as a tool for civic education, inculcation of national values, a reminder of the immense potentials that lie within the Nigerian youth, united in purpose and enriched by Nigeria's diversity.
On this year's commemoration of the International Day of Education, the First Lady said Nigeria would remain steadfast in ensuring that every child, regardless of their background, had access to quality education. That's the size of this week's edition of State House Diary. Do join us next week for a fresh edition. I am Abdel Nader.
Thank you, Abdullah. Now to sports. Nigeria and England share the spoils at the 2025 International Cricket Council Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup in Malaysia as African Madison upset Arina Sabalenka to clinch the women's singles title at the Australian Open. Plus, Nigeria Premier League action resumed for second stanza of the season as Tiger Tornadoes instead beat Rangers away in Enugu. Over now to Alambo Datonyi for more details in our sports news this morning.
Nigeria's junior female yellow-green Super 6 clash with England at the 2025 International Cricket Council Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup in Malaysia was abandoned on Saturday as a result of incessant rain. Cricket's world governing body, the ICC, while confirming the situation, announced that the game was abandoned, stating that the outcome was expected given the overnight rain and the persistent drizzle since morning. It further notes that with this situation, both teams will settle for 1 point each to begin their Super 6 campaign. This is the second time in Nigerian match at the competition has been abandoned due to rain. The opening group fixture with Samoa was called off with both teams awarded a point each. After that, they went ahead to beat New Zealand in their second game before losing to South Africa in their third, but still made it to the Super 6 stage by finishing second in Group C with 3 points behind the South Africans who top with 6 points. Nigeria will be in their second Super 6 fixture. We go to tennis. American Madison Keys finally got a moment in the sun as the world number 14 and 19th seed defeated number 1 and defending champion Arina Sabalenka of Belarus in 3 sets of the women's singles final at the 2025 Australian Open 6-3, 2-6, 7-5 to pick up her first Grand Slam title on Saturday.
Okay, bear with me. I'm absolutely going to cry. Firstly, Arina,
unbelievable playing. I'm glad I finally got you back. Unbelievable tennis. You're always so tough to play. Thank you to everyone who came out and cheered. I always feel so at home here in Melbourne. And my team believes in me every step of the way. So thank you so much.
The Daphne Narcos Memorial Cup comes with a record-breaking $2.2 million prize. His victory pushes her career prize haul to more than $21 million, according to the Women's Tennis Association's accounting. Meanwhile, the men's singles title will be decided this morning from 8:30 as Italy's Jannik Sinner clash with Germany's Alexander Zverev in the final. Sinner, who won his first Grand Slam at the Australian Open 12 months ago when he came from 2 sets down to defeat Daniil Medvedev, says he is trying not to be under pressure.
Yeah, I've been in this position to play finals of Grand Slams, which is something good. Also, Sasha has been in that situation. Finals are a bit different, but when you play Sunday, trying to take the things away in your head, the pressure, even if it's easy to say, but difficult to do. But
Zverev progressed to a first Australian Open final after an injured Novak Djokovic dramatically retired from their semi-final clash on Friday, but the German has backed up his position of world number 2 and strong contender to win his first Grand Slam, but is expecting a tough game.
Oh, but if you're in this final of a Grand Slam, you have to expect a tough match. You're not going to get it to a Grand Slam by not deserving to be there. So if somebody's there, that means that they have played great tennis. And yes, more often than not, it happens to be Sinner and Alcaraz, a Djokovic to get there, because those are the best players in the world. I'm going to prepare myself for a tough battle, a very intense and high-level match, and I have the level. I've beaten them before, and hopefully I can do that again.
Despite his world number 1 ranking, Jannik Sinner spills the head-to-head to Alexander Zverev, with the German winning 4 of their 6 previous meetings. Next is football. On resumption of the Nigerian Premier League from the halfway break for the second stanza, 4 games were decided across different venues on Saturday. In results of Match Day 20 contest, Niger Tornadoes secured a 2-1 away victory in Enugu against Rangers, with Ishmael Saraki getting the first goal on 17 minutes for the visitors, while Collins Ugueze equalized on 21 minutes. But Ifeanyi Okechukwu got the winner on 64 minutes, taking the Minna Bay side to 10th in the table with 27 points. In Lafia, Nasarawa United pipped Katsina United 1-0 as Sunshine Stars won 4-3 over Ikorodu City in a Southwest derby that produced a 7-goal thriller, as Abia Warriors pipped Bayelsa United 1-0 in Moniya to move to 5th position with 30 points, with the encounter between Kwara United and third-place Shooting Stars with 33 points postponed. Today, 3 matches were played in the MPFL. Akwa United welcomed leaders Remo Stars with 36 points at second place, Rivers United with 33 points at guests of Plateau United, while Heartland take on Lobby Stars in Owerri in a battle to escape relegation. And clash of 2 former Super Eagles legends, Emmanuel Amunike and Daniel Amokachiwuna, handled both teams. Forward Cody Gakpo scored twice and created another goal as host Liverpool cruised to a 4-1 win over lowly Ipswich Town at Anfield on Saturday to remain top of the Premier League. The win lifts Liverpool to 53.6 ahead of second place Arsenal, who beat Wolverhampton Wanderers 1-0 away, with Ricardo Calafiori getting the lone goal on 74 minutes. In the late kickoff, Manchester City came from behind to beat Chelsea 2-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Noni Madueke gave the Blues the lead on 3 minutes, but Josko Vardiol leveled up on 42 minutes, while Erling Haaland and Phil Foden secured victory on 68 and 87 minutes for Pep Guardiola's Citizens, who moved to 4th with 41 points as Enzo Maresca's charges dropped to 6th with 40 points. I am Alambo Datoye.
Thank you, Alambo. Next is the Spotlight, which is on the 31st regular meeting of the National Council of Water Resources and Sanitation. It is brought in by Terhemen Oradwe, Personal Assistant to Media and Publicity to the Honorable Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation.
Tomorrow, critical stakeholders in the water resources and sanitation sector will converge in Ibom Hall, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, for the 31st regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources and Sanitation. The Council is the highest policy-making body for water and sanitation development in Nigeria, charged with the responsibility to ensure sustainable access to safe and sufficient water by all Nigerians, improve public health, enhance food security, environmental cleanliness, and maintain the integrity of the freshwater ecosystem. Chaired by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, with the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry as Chairman of the technical session, The meeting is expected to bring together commissioners of water resources from across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, as well as development partners and other stakeholders, to strategize towards effective water resources management in the country. The theme for this year's meeting, Water and Food Security, Challenges and Opportunities in the Face of Daunting Climate Change, was carefully selected to bring relevant experts together to cross-fertilize ideas and come up with recommendations that would help address the devastating impacts of climate change on food security in the country. With the United Nations recent report projecting that climate change will reduce food production in Africa by 20% in 2050, with dire consequences on food security, economic growth, and human development. The theme acknowledges the challenges and seeks ways to address them, focusing on the nexus between water, food security, and climate change. Nigeria has continued to grapple with the devastating effects of climate change, including desertification and perennial flooding that have continued to wreak havoc on lives, farmlands, crops, and property. These negative impacts notwithstanding, the federal government, through the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, under Professor Joseph Telomo Yusef, has remained focused in driving the programs of the Tinubu administration to achieve food security and ensure that every citizen enjoys access to clean and sustainable water by the year 2030. The Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, under Professor Joseph Telomo Yusef, is promoting integrated agriculture systems using the Songhai integrated farming model across the 12 river basins in the country. Few months ago, Professor Yusef led a team of experts in the water and sanitation sector in the country to the International Water Association conference in Toronto, Canada, during which he presented Nigeria's strong position on the importance of innovative solutions and international collaborations in addressing the impacts of climate change on water and sanitation. At the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Republic of Egypt on enhancing cooperation in the water resources management in October last year, Professor Yusef made it clear that Nigeria was committed to boosting irrigated agriculture through massive investment in the water sector. Professor Yusef has also made significant strides with the completion and inauguration of thousands of water schemes across the country. The ministry, appealing to governors and local government chairmen to show unwavering commitment to these objectives and support the federal government's efforts to end hunger by ensuring full implementation of decisions taken at the end of the council meeting in their various areas. The ministry is also calling on the private sector to support efforts towards achieving food security and access to clean and safe water, given that government alone cannot handle the enormous responsibilities. It is hoped that the 31st regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources and Sanitation in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, will serve as a melting point of sound ideas and verifiable plan of action for the actualization of the desired objectives.
That spotlight on the 31st regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources and Sanitation was written by Tempemen Oradwe and led by Miriam Okisanjo.
Next is Cyberscope, bringing you the top trends shaping conversations across Nigeria's social media space. And on third, former Lagos Assembly Speaker Mudashiru Obasa is making waves after asserting his right to the speakership. Obasa says his impeachment was unconstitutional and insists he will only step down if due process is followed.
We also have hashtag Mercy Chinwo is still trending as the gospel singer addressed the feud with her ex-manager, EZT. In a detailed Facebook post, Chinwo clarified she never sued him, but revealed their fallout stemmed from EZT's push to extend his 5-year contract to 12 years, a move she rejected.
Arresta is on Instagram for apparently the wrong reasons. Nigerian superstar and Grammy nominee dropped a bombshell declaring herself a lesbian. Well, fans have called her out for oversharing words they feel should be personal.
Maybe a bad time for the US now. We also have hashtag Arsenal. Arsenal is on X as Gunners fans are fuming as the Premier League defends a controversial red card issued to Miles Lewis-Skelly during Arsenal's match against the Wolves. Despite the setback, Arsenal managed a narrow victory, but debates rage on about the decision.
Also on Instagram, photos of hashtag Enugu fuel tank explosion have gone viral. The tragedy that struck in Enugu state of fuel tanker explosion claimed multiple lives at Ugunye, the local government area of the state. The devastating incident has sparked a national outcry, with former presidential aspirants like Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi condemning the recurring tanker disasters across the country. And that's all for now on Service Pickup.
Don't forget to connect with us at Radio Nigeria using the hashtag Cyberscope. Cyberscope was compiled by Jennifer Ogo. Next is newspaper headlines. We begin with the Punch newspaper. Outrageous. Force Piero says police can break into homes. Transformer vandal electrocuted in Ogun. APC opposition fear Trump's policy may affect Nigeria.
The Nation newspaper oversaw Lagos Assembly differ over his impeachment. 18 killed, 13 rescued as petrol tanker explodes in Enugu. And that's newspaper headlines for this morning.
For weather update, slight dust haze is expected over the north and north-central regions of the country throughout today. In the southern region, hazy atmosphere with patches of clouds is anticipated in the morning hours with prospects